So let's begin. Let's begin. I know we kind of began, but I want to give like a formal introduction. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Angels Don't Lie. I'm really so pleased to introduce you to Carmell Clark, and I'm going to let Carmell tell you all about her and give you her juicy details of who she is and why she's here on this planet sharing her light, especially during this time. I think in our life, in our world, this is what we need, is more light, more love. I know you guys are going to love this session today. So we are going to ask you to mute yourself up, while we're going through. That way you get the most out of it and we're not distracted in case you have to get up. If you do have to get up, maybe you could put your video on, make sure you're muted again, so that way people aren't distracted following you. Have your pen and paper, if you don't already, nearby so you can take notes, because this is going to be juicy. And if you guys are Angel members, you'll get the replay in just a couple of days, which is great. Alrighty, so Carmell Clark, thank you so much for being here, and I'll let you take it over.
Ginny, thank you so much. I was really excited when you reached out and said, hey, I'm doing this and would you like to come do this with me? And I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I'm really honored and very, very excited to be here and to be with you and to dive into the topic that we're talking about today, that I'm here to lead. But it's not just me, it's all of you, it's each of you, right? Because we're all in this together, and that's the core for me. I prefer for us to interact. I have ideas and things I want to lead, but your ideas are also just as important. Your insights, your questions, the things that you want to work on. Yes, let's do it. Let's totally do it. So I'm going to just start with 11:49 p.m. on New Year's Eve in 1990. I was 19 years old at this time, and at 11:49 p.m. on New Year's Eve, I was standing on top of a mountain somewhere in southeastern Washington state. Chris Kerr, my best friend, who was also in love with, he had stood me up for our New Year's plans, and this disappointment wasn't the first time for me. But at that early age, I had many experiences at that point of falling for people who didn't return my feelings. And instead of letting go and walking away with my dignity and my value, I would end up pursuing these little relationships until I had lost all my self-respect. And so here I was at 11:49 p.m. on top of this mountain. And what had happened was he hadn't shown. And I kept having this little voice inside my head that said, screw it. Go climb a mountain and ring in the new year by yourself. And I could see it in my mind's eye. I could see the lights of the city below. I could see the darkness of the Horse Heaven Hills spread out, beyond that, and where the stars began. And I could see everything exactly where I would be standing. And so finally I left and I drove the long drive. And in my head, there was all of these things going on. I know you know what those things are. You've had your own in your life. And I got to the trailhead and parked, and I got out and I climbed the mountain, and I came up over the top of that ridge, and everything was spread out. And as everything was spread out, I had a feeling. And the feeling that I had was completely, undeniably, and absolutely me. I knew it. I knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be right now in time. I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand everything else, but it was so important. And I felt how important it was, this gravity inside of me as I was standing there. And my heart hurt so badly, right, at that point, because this had been 2 years of this ongoing back and forth between us, my best friend Chris and I, almost happening or happening a little and then not. And I knew when I decided to get in the car and drive up that mountain, I knew that was done, that I was making the decision to be done with this relationship, not with the friendship, but with what my heart was holding for him at that point in time. I also knew that I was done with pursuing anybody. I was done with that. I didn't know what that meant at that point, but I knew that it was the right thing inside of me. And I stood there taking stock on the inside and listening to and trusting and following every single feeling that came up, every thought that came up. I allowed it completely to come through me and tell me the truth of myself right then and there, 19 years old. And I dug down deep and I knew, I decided, and I turned that entire chapter of my life whole scale. In one moment, I turned it and I was done with it. And I started into the new, a new that I'd never done before, a new that I didn't understand. I didn't even know what I was doing at that point, but something in me knew exactly what I was to do. And I did it. And so when I walked off that mountain somewhere close to 1 a.m, very cold, I was not the same person who had climbed the hill in the first place. This experience was defining for everything else in my life that would come. All of us have certain experiences in our lives that are like this. And I share this experience because it is the question that I ask people: who are you? Who are you? It is the question of our whole lives. It is the core of the work that I do and have been doing for myself and with people, with clients now for the last 20 plus years. I began to piece together my answer to this question, Carmel, who are you? In earnest when I turned 30 years old. And I can't explain how it came to be that age, but there were certain things. My entire life changed again at 30. I seem to have a decade thing going. And what has transpired as I started to really go after answering this question of who are you is the greatest adventure of my life. It's the solidness inside me when the bottom drops away. It is the most important and meaningful thing that I have done and continue to do, answering the question, who am I? It's not a question that will ever be fully answered because I, like you, am infinite. And we go on, but the question leads us. And the question is our wake-up call at every point in our lives, the thing that brings us back if we have gotten off of our alignment, or the thing that helps us to face whatever it is that we're afraid to face, the thing, that wake-up call that causes us to come out of the sleep again when we've slid back into it. Who am I? It's the very beginning. So this topic that I want to talk about today, and to do this work with us together, how we ignore our journey of self-acceptance and why we need to do the work now. This topic is really core because our entire world now is in this change, this massive upheaval for changes that have needed to happen for a long time. They've been building. We all know that. We feel that. We felt it. We saw it. We still have to deal with the day-to-day and how that affects us. And yet inside we know that this change, even with the parts that can be hard or even devastating, this change is good for us. And we have to figure out how to meet the good that this change is in every way. And then we have individually in our private lives, other things that are in change, are in flux right now, that are asking the same thing of us. And the way that we answer all of these changes must start within the self. Who am I right now? And so I'm asking this question to you as I'm asking it to myself. Who am I? And if you have easy answers, if you have things that you know really well, then I'm going to ask you to just let those slide over to the side and to open up a space for yourself right now where you don't know. Let everything you think you know about who you are just slide to the side. And then let's just open up this new open space. There's a great philosopher who said, at the end of his life, he started the whole existentialist movement, phenomenology movement. He said at the end of his life, all my life, I have always thought of myself as a beginner, Edmund Husserl. And I love this so much because if you let go of all these things that you think you know about who you are, and I'll do the same, and then we open up this space, this openness in front of us where we don't know. Every one of us, it doesn't matter how much life we've lived, it doesn't matter what we've been through. Every one of us are all beginners. And that has a magic inside of it for each of us. I am a beginner, and you are a beginner. And when we go to that place inside that feels that I am a beginner, we let off all of the pressure. We let off all the expectations. We move back into that place that we've been in at different points in our lives where we were at the point of the new adventure and we were ready to take the step forward. I want you to feel that inside. It's extraordinary, this experience of choosing, allowing, letting ourselves become a beginner again. So as we move into this place, I'm going to do a little wake-up call assessment, because the acceptance of ourselves exactly as we are right now is, as I said, always that wake-up call in life. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to tell you what I mean, and Janie's going to recognize some of these things because of our interactions before. And you'll probably want to write these down if you have the opportunity. Here's what I mean by your self-acceptance being the wake-up call of your life. First, there is no one else living your life. It is just you. And as I say that, I can feel most, if not all of you, knowing that, feeling that inside. You're already connected to that. No one else is living my life. It's just me. But then I ask you, are you first with yourself? There's no one else living your life. It's just you. Are you first with yourself? This is essential because when we are going to move into our space of self-acceptance, of really radically accepting who we are right now, if we have other people in front of us, inside of us, then we're really not doing the work of accepting who we are. We're working to try and do whatever else with or for or on behalf of these people inside that we've put in front of us. And you can only do the work of yourself, right? So I'm going to ask you to ask that question. Am I first with myself? And to assess yourself. If you were to say, well, sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not, I want you to make little notes. I'm first with myself here in this area. And I'm first with myself with this relationship. I'm not really first with myself in this relationship. Or I'm not first with myself with my health. Or I'm not first with myself with my finances, or whatever it could be. Find those things where you are first with yourself so that you can tap into how it feels because you know it. And then look at the things where you aren't so that you can work to bring those into alignment with yourself. That's first. The second, in our acceptance of ourselves exactly as we are, that wake-up call, is you're either on purpose or you're not. Every day we have the choice to be on purpose or not on purpose. And I'm not talking about, the self-help gurus that are out there and, all of these things. I'm talking about when I wake up in the morning, it's just me, privately, by myself, to myself. I have the choice to know inside, am I on purpose right now in my life or am I not? And throughout my day, am I on purpose right now or not? It's not about how much we accomplish. It's about the clear alignment and intent of our hearts. Am I on purpose right now or am I not? And welcome, Michael. I'm so glad you're here. So I ask you to ask yourself that question because you're the only one who can answer that, just like, am I first with myself? When I am first with myself and I am on purpose and I know where that is inside of me, that being on purpose, that is the director, because not everybody knows what their purpose is. And that's a whole other conversation. Jeannie and I are going to have some fun with that conversation about purpose and vision and all of that stuff. But when you know that you're on purpose, even if you don't know exactly what your purpose is, you have still aligned with your purpose. So people who are still like, I don't know what my purpose is, if you go into that place in your heart where you are on purpose, you are aligned. And you will come step by step to being able to articulate clearly what your purpose is just for you. It's not about anybody else, it's just for you. But I'm asking you to find that difference inside. I'm first with myself and I am on purpose. And when I'm not, I feel it. I feel when I slide off and I move myself back on. That is your heart center. Your heart is leading into the places that you don't know. We all recognize this. We knew it from the time we were little. We may have gotten disconnected from it for periods of time. I think that's a huge part of what Jeannie does is, she does this work that allows us to recenter that on purpose place, right? And we feel it when we get it. And there's no bullshit, right? There's no excuses. It is exactly what it is, right? But then we feel free inside. That's what it feels like when we are on purpose. Not on purpose for this person or for this thing, but on purpose inside ourselves, right? Good. And as I say that, my words also have, because I have that gift of the vibration moving and all of us aligning with it together, which is so beautiful. I just love it. Third, how you show up in your life shows who you think you really are. How you show up in your life shows who you think you really are. That means that there's always a wake-up call coming back to us to say, wait, do you really think that you are whatever this thing is, where we know we're not in alignment or we're not acting in alignment? It's not a judgment, it's an opportunity. It could be that we are brilliant, right? It could be that we're incredibly loving. It could be that we are really healthy and health focused, or it could be that we're not. And that is that opportunity to come into the temple of the body and tell ourselves who we really are against the actions that would tell us, right? The way that we show up to ourselves tell us otherwise. Are we risk-taking? Are we guilty? Are we afraid or cautious? Are we listening? Are we that make that shit happen all the time? Are we strong? Are we judgmental? Are we dependent? When we do this assessment of ourselves, of how we show up, when we break it down, we're actually showing us on that conscious, subconscious level who we think we are. And then we get to go back into number one and number two. First with myself and being on purpose. And it allows me to start to line up again, right? This is all our radical core self-acceptance. These questions lead us back to that inner true point inside. And that's why I say them. That's why I give these questions out. Number 4 of the 5 is this one. Is it your life that you're living right now? Is it your life? Or is it the life that's meeting other people's expectations? This is a big one. It's really hard because we are used to serving and we're used to showing up. Even those who are in the space of fulfilling their purpose, I do this, like I'll move off my center on this one, right? Into what I'm doing for everybody else. And I'll start to put me second, third, fourth, seventh, 10th, right? And it happens, all of us, it happens. Our opportunity is in this, right, is to come back and realize, is it my life I'm living or is it not my life? Is it the life according to other people's expectations or according to what I think the needs are that have to be met or according to any kind of limitations that I have chosen to take on? Because my job, my responsibility at the deepest level of my being is to live my life. There's no greater or lesser in that. We know that here, but we'll still play the comparison game and the judgment game. We still do it, right? We all have that challenge that we're up against, and it's okay. It's okay to have that challenge. But we still have that question to answer, is it my life? And the choice to say, I choose to live my life. Okay, now I'm going to figure out what that is. And here's that open space in front of us again, where we are beginners. I choose to live my life. I'll figure it out. One step at a time, one little bit at a time, or one huge quantum leap at a time. I will live my life. I will be the beginner again and again and again. How extraordinary that is. And number 5 in our core self-acceptance is You and I have our own purpose. It's been working behind the scenes. And this is what Jeannie and I have been talking about. This purpose has been working behind the scenes since we were born. The journey of accepting ourselves is the path directly to our unique, powerful purpose on the planet. So when we are in the work of accepting who we are, and that's why it's important now more than ever, it moves us fast track into our unique purpose on the planet. We've been doing it all along, but being able to become more clear about exactly what that is, not our vision of how we're carrying our purpose out, the people we will help, the ways we'll show up, that's the vision. But the purpose is us. It's just this essence of who we are. We can't not do it. It's in us as we go to the grocery store, as we go to bed at night, as we figure out our relationships. Our purpose is working out in every part of our lives. And it is actually working us forward, whether we can see it or not. It doesn't matter if we feel stuck. We may have an experience of being stuck for years, and still our purpose is moving forward in us without fail, nonstop. When we do the work of our self-acceptance, we are bringing ourselves into the awareness, the alignment, and the radical responsibility to that purpose, exactly as it is inside of us. And then we can create the vision of what we'll do with that purpose next. And then we create another vision and do that next. But make no mistake, our purpose is resident in us. It already is there. We are already fulfilling it every breath we take, every moment. And the vision is up to us, our desire, what we want to do, how we want to show up. But our purpose will be inside it, whatever we choose, no matter what. This is what I wanted to share with you and start us out on. And I will share this last part, and then I'm going to open it up for all of us. The thing in your life that you can't accept, or that you can't figure out how to forgive, or that you regret, or that you hide from, or hide altogether, or that you avoid, whatever that thing is, that is always the wake-up call to yourself, to your purpose. There isn't any mistake about it. The things that I hide from, or that I hide, that I don't want to make visible, or the things that I avoid, they're always this red neon sign flashing, pointing me to my waking up next, in this next area, and to my purpose and its ability to take me forward in my life, to create more of that fulfillment. So that's what I want to share, and I want to open it up now. So we can, I think, Jeannie, I hand it back to you.
Beautiful. Carmel, can you repeat the question number 5? Because I wanted to write it down and I didn't hear it clearly.
Yes, of course. So question number 5, it's not so much a question as a statement. You have your own purpose.
Okay.
And it's been working behind the scenes since you were born. I have my own purpose. It's been working behind the scenes since I was born.
Thank you.
And then the journey of accepting myself is the path of my purpose. The journey of accepting myself is the path of my purpose.
I don't know how many of you freaking love that. Yeah, right. You guys you're welcome to unmute yourselves. How many of you are uncomfortable with that? Is anybody uncomfortable? It's not sitting well, Jen. That's okay. It's good to look at it, and even if you're uncomfortable with it.
It's not that I'm not sitting well with it. It's just I may be uncomfortable with saying who I really am, because I don't really know who I really am. Yeah.
I think that's the point.
It is the point.
Beautifully said. I love that so much, Susan. That's great. It is. It's what is that? What were you going to say, Jeannie? What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, what is it that lights you up, Jen?
Oh, my jewelry, of course.
Mm-hmm. And when you were little, that little girl, that creator, that, fun-loving girl, what was it like then for you?
Well, always being a dreamer, fantasizing. Yeah, being in like a dream world.
And when you are creating your jewelry, is that the same kind of energy you're getting?
Yeah, you could put it
Mhm.
in that bracket, or that I don't know what the word is.
Frame of reference.
Sorry.
Frame of reference.
Yes, that description.
So as you look at that, because I think this is a great example for all of us, right? The thing that lights us up, that was just spot on, Jeannie. The thing that lights us up inside, do we actually really trust that? Or do we put all these other things around it and on top of it? You know, these restrictions, you know, well, it has to, you know, make this much money, or it has to be, you know, acceptable to these people, or, you know, I have to explain it and defend it and I can't, or, you know, I can't really, you know, it's impractical and irresponsible for me to do the thing that lights me up, that I love so much, and not the, you know, and it will take away from the things that I'm supposed to be doing.
That's
There
a
are
good
lots
point
of
too, because when I thought of when I would make my jewelry for people as a business, it wasn't as fun for me as I felt all the pressure and exactly the cost, or is that somebody going to like it, or, you know, I had to accept that not everyone's going to like it. There's always going to be something that they're not going to like about it. So you just have to accept that.
That's hard, isn't it?
And
Yeah,
find
it's
the
hard
gratitude.
to say that again.
It's Margaret, I would say find the gratitude in the ones that do appreciate you. You know, you got to focus on the positivity there, and that, because that's where you're getting your stamina. That's what makes you smile. Don't worry about the ones that don't, because everybody has different taste.
Thank you.
I think it goes back to Carmel's first question, right? Are you first with yourself? And because if we look outside of ourselves for some semblance of love or reassurance or a pat on the back or anything, we are always going to fall short. We're never going to get past where we want to be, which is we want to be one with ourselves. We want to be first, right? So that means you have to appreciate what you're doing, and you're doing it for you and for source, for that's your mission, right? Like to serve. And it doesn't matter what comes from the outside world. What matters is what comes from you. Am
That
I
is
first?
exactly right.
Yeah, am I first with myself?
Yes.
I love that question, because if you take it apart and you go in all aspects of your life and you think, okay, am I first with myself in relationships? I love that. Am I first with myself in the kitchen? Like, am I eating and serving and loving on myself? Am I doing it with my spiritual routine? Am I first with myself and saying yes?
That's exactly right.
We
It
can
is a wake-up call. We can break everything down, you were saying.
Yeah, I think that's so important, Carmel. I love that. I think it's brilliant.
I think so too. I'm grateful that it came.
It was a good one.
Yes. And so as you look at that, and I'm just going to use that just a little bit further, this example with the making of the jewelry, we tend to get self-conscious about these things that light us up, right? And that self-consciousness is the ego side, right? It's not the true self. The ego side has its place, right? It protects us. It keeps us safe in different times and places in this world that has so much going on. But it isn't the true expression of who we are. And so when we let that lead, we let that be the driver, we will live a life that does not fulfill us, or will only partially fulfill us. And we get this time, right? When you see people who are really going after their fulfillment, what they have chosen to do is engage the possibility of rejection. They've chosen to engage the potential for, you know, the risk that they take, the potential that things won't work out, or that they may fail at it. And yet there's always going to be something on the other side. Things don't just end. They don't just stop. We are still there. And so when you really decide to listen to your wake-up call, for example, with your jewelry, then you will look at it not as how other people will take it. But you will go through that curtain of water that you can't see through, that is so fearful, to the other side. And on the other side, you will find you, parts of you that you have been waiting to come back to for a long time. And those parts of you are strong. And you will stay there with those parts, and they will help you lead forward on this path that you don't fully understand, and yet it's inside you. Because dreams find us, they come to us, right? And they click and connect into who we are, and that spark is now ours, and we have a responsibility to that spark, what we're going to do with it. And that's what gives us this life, right? So we're either going to try and be partially asleep so we don't have to step up to the risk that is, right? Or we're going to really trust it and go all in, right? The on purpose, all in with what we're getting, with the gifts that we have and the sparks that come to us, the dreams that reach down and grab our hearts. So in this situation, once you move through that wall of water with rejection, the process of that is, Susan, and I speak from my own personal experience with the same fear of rejection. It is the path. It is your path. It is the path leading you forward for you accepting you, coming back fully to you in ways that have become disconnected. You will never lose that. When you gain that back and you're really awake about it, anything that walks through the door that tries to drag you back to where you were, you're like, no, not going. I've been there, right? There are things right now in your life, I'm not going back to that. This is the same. So you either get to look at it as a hard barrier or as the opportunity to walk through that waterfall to the other side.
That makes the joy come alive at that point.
Yes.
Well, Carmel,
Right.
can you share, like, I love what you're saying, but I think in real terms, when you are in a place of everything is the same and you're looking at the outside world, you're wanting to feel good, what is the step that you need to take? Like, for you, what did it look like to be that brave to say, this is who I am?
Good question. Good question. Well, I shared with you one of those moments, right, when I was 19 years old, where it took me listening to that little voice inside that said, you're either going to choose somebody else or you're going to choose yourself. And you already know how it feels and what happens when you choose somebody else again and again and again and not yourself. So why don't you try choosing you? There's that first with myself, right? So that would be one of the things that I do right off the bat. When I am in a situation, like if I have something with a client that's not going the way that I want, right? If I have a situation in a relationship or a situation in my business or whatever that causes me to, be concerned or afraid or, doubt myself or whatever, the thing that I do in those moments, and maybe it takes me, a few hours or a few days or whatever, but the thing that I will do, depending on how big the thing is I will come back here. I will come back to this self that no matter what happens, I'm here. I'm right here. I'm not here in my head, like in this crazy space. My work of self-acceptance has made it possible for me when I take the risks and I go into new things to know that there is a me on the other side of it, no matter what happens. And then it's really a matter of, is this the right place for me to go? Is this the alignment for me to take the next steps? The thing that's been quite stunning in my own learning and growth, and I want to share this, and then I would love to have other people chime in, is to learn. We were just talking about this when everybody started popping on, Jeannie, about the independence. And there's another key, right? I didn't anticipate we'd be talking about this. I'm so independent, and my way of approaching is to just, pick up and go after and do things and to take care of all the details. But what I had to realize in that was there was a space, and my own journey has forced me to learn this lesson in earnest over the last few years, that it is not just all me. Cue Jeannie.
There you go. We literally just had this conversation. And I just shared with Carmel, we know each other, but we don't know each other. You know what I mean? So we were going in a little bit further with who we are. And I shared with her, I I've always had a deep rooted insecurity. It's one of my core wounds. It's what I came here with. And healing that has brought me sometimes to be very defensive. So I've, you know, in the beginning when I started working, you know, it's like 20 years ago when I started showing up with just like, rah, my lion kind of voice, like, here it is, and trying to defend myself, but I kept giving myself away rather than staying true to myself. And I love this question that Carmel is bringing, because it is so true. Like, was I first with myself at that time? Nope. I was trying to prove myself in order to feel like I was first. And I think what shifted for me over time was surrendering into love, you know, melding in. And we're not meant to do it all on our own. So the softness that has come over the years has really allowed me to allow other people in, which I never did. You know, so whether that was a therapist or really sharing with a friend and letting her hear me and then listening to what the response was. Colleen's smiling. It's true. Like, I can admit that I had that lioness kind of, you know, I'm a Leo. You know, you guys were on with Carly and Pam with the astrology class, some of you, and, you know, my chart reads, you know, if you know anything about charts, I mean, I'm a powerhouse. Like, I'm meant to be in the public eye. I'm meant to do all these things. It's about writing books. It's about sharing and whatnot, but softening that and not forcing any of it, just being really, I'm first with myself. I don't have to be first with anyone else, not my husband, not my mom, which is, you know, painful, but it's beautiful, not my dad, not my siblings. Like, I don't have to look outside of myself to have approval. I have to look to God.
And that spark is right here.
Yeah. Anybody else? We'd love to hear from you guys.
I can talk. I'm Margaret. Hi. I actually totally on board with that. I had to, lots of therapists, lots of talking, but having to take care of me first. And I had to, like, I came from a very dysfunctional family. I'm not going to go into, but that's the gist of it. But very intense. And I had to cut him out. I had to say, you know, I love you, but I have to love you with space. You know, we can wish each other Merry Christmas. If there's a family event, we can be social, but I cannot have you in my personal life, because, like, I went from my master's degree, I started recently. And the first comment from two sisters, and I didn't even tell them, my daughter did. And the first comment was, why would she bother? She's already, you know, she's in her 50s. Why would she bother doing that? That's such a waste. And I was like, that's why you're not in my life. And every time something comes up that I hear, that I recognize that it's a negativity, I go, but this is working for me. This is something that I'm doing for myself. I don't need your approval. And it just reinforces that I think I'm taking care of me. I don't care what anybody else thinks, and and every time it happens and and that I see, it's like an aha moment every time. Like, I'm empowered. Every time a negative person says something, and I go, you know what? That's why you're not in my personal life, because my personal people that I've stayed in touch are the people that empower me. And so when you say that, it just enforces that I made the right choice by taking care of me first. So I totally, like, Jeannie, when you were talking, I was like, whoa, I get her. I get it. I understand, but it wasn't easy. There were moments that it was like, oh, I don't know, and the pressures and whatnot, but, like, I kind of went past that hurdle, and I'm on the other side where, you know, somebody's birthday, happy birthday, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? You know, how are the kids, da da da, and I can keep it at a distance. And if they start there, I'm like, okay, I'm busy, I gotta go. Love you to death, and keep them in their space, because and my circle is so powerful now that I just am so appreciative of where I'm at today because of that. So I don't want to run the whole meeting. So I just wanted to, like, I was like,
oh my God, no,
we love this.
Margaret, that's amazing. Like, beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just have to honor you for the bravery that it takes to actually do what you did with your family. I've done the same thing. And the bravery that it takes to set a hard boundary for yourself, not against them, but for yourself, and to feel the losses that happen and choose those in order to choose yourself. That's the hardest choice any person makes in their life, I think, is having to choose themselves over what they love or who they love, right? When we come up against that.
Absolutely. And the only thing I was going to add is
Please.
our culture is what makes it hard. Our culture says we should go to our parents, we should go to our siblings, and it's other people that are like, but that's your sister. Come on, she's what, so when I'm from a small town, so when other people get involved, it's like, I ask you to respect my wish, what I'm doing. That's my relationship with her, stay out of it. And thank God with the help of a therapist, I was able to make those boundaries. But yes, definitely. But I think culture tells us these things. And I had to recognize that it may be that culture, but it doesn't fit in my family.
Right. There you go.
I love this. I feel like a little different, Carmel. I feel like it's soft boundaries that we create, because if we allow love in, then we aren't swayed by their opinion or their tone. Because for me, I don't believe necessarily that we were meant to cut people out. We have come here to have these really diverse, experiences, as hard as they can be, and they are hard. They're fucking hard. Let's just get right to it. They'll poke at us, they'll come at us, they'll show up in new relationships if we aren't open to the aspect of love, compassion, forgiveness, and separation, right?
That's absolutely true. The thing, and I agree with that. The reason that I'm glad that you took it to the soft, because the hard boundary is sometimes necessary when we have had our boundaries overrun for so long and we don't know where and how to set them. And it has to be for ourselves so that we can create the space to learn with safety instead of being dragged back into things before. Because I had such a history with my parents, who are such good people and I love them. But the emotional blackmail was my entire life. The fear, the obligation, the guilt, and the shame. And I needed a space separate from that long enough to learn who I was. That was 30 years old, where I set that boundary. And then I realized fairly quickly that I could not set this boundary and view them in the ways back that I had so fought against them viewing me. I had to come through that to the other side. I had to face the anger that I had and let it have its voice, to move through it and move into the space of my heart becoming open, right? And that's the real tell. And so, Margaret, when you say soft boundaries, Jeannie, that's what I see, because our journey is precious and sacred. And initially, sometimes we do have to set a hard boundary so that we can create that space. People who've been in abusive relationships, for example, of any kind, they have to do that in order to then move through into the space of healing, right? But the measurement is exactly what you said, Jeannie. The measurement of our progress is that we're either going to stay where we feel like we have to keep those hard boundaries, or we are going to recognize, Margaret, that we are a way maker for people.
Yeah, and I think today I can have a conversation with them, but then I learn where they're starting to cross my boundaries, and that's so I can, how things go and da da da. And then it's that hard questioning, because they have, we're their 50s and 60s. They have, they have 50 years of bad habits that they were trained with. And I have to go, okay, I can either continue, and I did years of trying to sway them. But in the meantime, it's just, this is what I can do. I can have this much a connection. I can show up at family parties, but I keep the conversation in what's comfortable for me.
Yeah. And that's a healthy thing. There's no question. It's a healthy thing. I do know that I don't, with my family, because I was the only one in my family to step away. And my parents led this silent closeout of me for 4 years. And I learned through that time how to hold the boundary inside of me, but then how to move through into the space of accepting them exactly as they are without any changes. And the acceptance of them was where my heart was able to be free and open. And then over time, what I have noticed is that what I thought was absolutely impossible, ever, 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 has come to pass. because love goes past all of this lifetime of doing things one way. It goes past all of these things. And maybe it takes a while, but no person is immune to knowing that they are accepted exactly as they are by somebody else, even if that person has a boundary of what they will allow and what they won't allow in their lives, especially from that. And that's what I found to be the case in this impossible situation that I would never have seen healing, is that as I healed on the inside to where my heart was open, and I realized, and this was a whole other story for maybe another time, that the things, especially my father, that I judged the most harshly because he had been so brutal to me, that I came to understand the things I judged in him and myself. They looked different. They were not damaging to other people like his were to me, but they were right there. And it was the biggest gift I could have had, because as this moment happened, unforeseen, out of the blue, one day, that I realized that I was doing that same superior with somebody that I love more than anything in the world. But I didn't make it look like what he did. When I realized that about myself, I didn't have any judgment. I'd done enough work in myself to have no judgment, but just to observe it and look at it and realize it. And then I was in the middle of working with a client, and my heart broke wide open, and I started sobbing in the middle of a client session, because my heart understood my father, the man that I had been angry at for good reason for my whole life up to that point. At 40 years, I understood him. He didn't have to say anything. I hadn't talked to him in 4 years. There was no reconciliation. There was no anything except that my heart understood his. To Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book, The Heart of Understanding, he speaks about this breaking open of the heart, right? And that is the freedom. And then that's where his freedom became mine and mine became his, as I held my boundaries for myself and I reached for what was greater between the two of us that neither of us had yet come to. And that is love. That's the power right there. I honor your journey, Margaret. I honor your journey so much. Oh my gosh. It's incredible.
Wow.
I think it hits home for so many of us. You know, the relationship with our family can be so painful and can be a stopping point for us as well. Can be almost like an addiction where we're consumed by, what do I do? How do I get out of this? Or looking at like what they're doing wrong instead of pausing and looking within. Like, am I first with myself? Am I loving myself? Am I showing up? Am I doing the work I need to do so that I can heal?
Yes, and also to recognize that without realizing it, I have been breaking this cycle in my family that I hadn't realized was there. And I was a waymaker, just being myself, just being exactly myself, which is why I'm honoring your journey, Margaret, because being yourself, you are a waymaker for the rest of your family. And it would be such a loss for us to let go of the greater possibility that is always there, no matter what the immediate looks like. The greater possibility is always there. And there's your beautiful heart. I can feel your beautiful heart right there.
Would anybody else love to share? Michael?
May I say something?
Michael.
Hi, Carmel. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I'm stop motion. It's weird. I'm sorry I was late. First of all, I was having some technical difficulties, and I think I might still be having them, but I think we're doing okay. This is just amazing. And Margaret, I feel such a parallel with your story. And I have so much stuff around both my parents, but especially with my mom. And my mom's name is Margaret. And it's a big family name. My great grandmother's name is Margaret. I have an aunt, Margaret. I have I mean, the crux of my stuff with my mother is that for whatever reason, she needed me to be there for her. And anything that was my own interest, like I want to go to my friends for a sleepover, I want to join the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts, or I want to go trip with, I couldn't do any of those things because that was choosing me over her. I could never choose me over her. And when I first started figuring this out in therapy, I had to do kind of what I'm describing, a real, hard stop. And as I'm doing the spiritual work, man, it's like I'm dreaming about my mom every night. I'm like, I'm working this shit out constantly, And so what you said, Carmel, about always moving forward is like whether I'm awake or asleep or aware of it or not aware of it, I'm on this path and I'm moving, and I'm moving toward myself. And it's not about what my mom wants anymore. It's about what I want. But now my parents are in their 80s, so our days are limited.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of work with forgiveness. And what keeps coming up for me in my meditation around it is it's like the process of threshing.
The process of
Threshing
what?
wheat,
Oh, threshing.
removing the chaff from the wheat and getting all the unusable stuff off of what is really precious, which is the love. There's a lot of love there for me, but it was surrounded with a lot of conditions, expectations, and things that I just as a kid couldn't meet. And I still can't. I can't, and I love your step one. I can't be first for anyone else but me.
Right.
And it's beautiful and painful to realize when I'm not doing that. And I feel like that's happening every single day. It's I just keep coming back to that. So your 5 steps are beautiful. And when you said the journey of accepting myself is the path of my purpose, it just echoed. At first I thought, am I even understanding what she's saying? And it's like, yeah. Yeah, I am. I get it. Because it is so beautiful. Thank you for letting me share.
Because if it wasn't for you, Gina, I don't know how far I would have gotten or anything like that. So.
Oh, Susan, you're shining. Now we just got to get you dating.
Oh,
Isn't she glowing? She's got that
I'm
God
glowing.
glow.
No, Jeannie, thank you. And I'm so looking forward to this new healing course because I am
Yes.
taking that step for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Michael's so excited because he's.
Oh, you too? Yay! Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a powerful
And
thing
I believe in
for
you,
yourself.
Jeannie, and that's why, I get goosebumps now, but I do look to the light. We've been reading our book and everything.
I love you guys.
We
Well,
love you.
any follow-up questions for Carmel?
I want to say something with what Michael said. I have experienced the same thing. My parents never told me they were proud of me. First child of 8, and they're proud of all these other children, and make that very clear. And so it had been such a painful thing for me for so many years, but I found my path and I knew it without anybody else's validation and approval, right? And it's important to recognize that there's something bigger at play for all of us, right? And these wounds that we're talking about, we need to look at that beyond just our being able to move out of the situation or to change the relationship, because that's actually much bigger. Like you said, it has fueled you, right? It's been part of that path. And the first thing I wanted to say, Michael, is I heard every single thing you said. I heard you all the way. And what you said and who you are matter. to me and I matter to me. So you know that it matters, right? So it's not
Yeah.
a validation, it's a recognition.
Thank
I
you.
heard you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one too.
And then the other thing that I felt as you were talking very clearly is I'm trying to figure out how to put it into the right words in what we're talking about. It is this the shadow side. It's important that the shadow is just as precious as the light because they are part of the same. They are two halves of the same. And so when I was setting my boundaries and trying to find who this person, Carmell, was at 30 years old, when my whole family fell apart, when I, chose what I chose, break ranks, unheard of in this whole huge family. When that happened, the thing that I did is I started an anger journal because something inside of me needed to be expressed until it had been satisfied. And I let everything come. The shadow is sacred and precious, and letting it without judgment is the part that all the parts of us come back together. We are that powerful. We are all of those things. And I had never been allowed to be angry. My anger was never acceptable. I was supposed to control it. And yet my anger was the voice of the truth that I had known inside me all along. And I had shut it down because I was forced to. And then I learned to follow suit with what was expected. And so it was necessary for me at that point in time to say to my anger, I want to hear everything. I want to hear it. You have free reign, carte blanche, to express anything and everything, to throw anybody under the bus as many times as you need to, as often as you need to, in whatever language you need to say it in, until it is fully expressed. And it was finally expressed. It took over a year in several anger journals. But I share this with you because everybody's path of letting their shadow speak exactly what it needs to speak so that their truth comes fully, right here. And you now live that truth instead of being afraid of it or suppressing it or feeling like it has to look like this. It's not acceptable just as it is, right? That's the thing. I was saying, no, all parts of me are acceptable. I choose to accept all parts of me. And there's this angry part and it needs to have its voice until it's done doing that. And I don't get angry now, right? Because when anything comes up that would hit that off of me, which is very hard to hit now, it tells me a truth that I already am ready to hear, no matter what that truth is. And that's the gift, right? For whatever the shadow part is in you that needs to have all acceptance, right? Because we can meditate and we can meet these different parts, but sometimes there is a part of us in the shadow that needs a kind of expression that feels unacceptable. And we need to make sure that we give that expression. Trust yourself and give it. Myself said, you're going to write it. I wrote it, right? And in the writing of it, what I came to was until it was finally done and there was nothing else in there that needed to be expressed, it allowed my heart to then start to look at my father and my parents and all of this in a different way, because my truth, after 30 years of being suppressed, had finally been accepted by me completely, all of it. And it must be accepted by me completely in order for me to accept who I am as I am. The gift of my father and my mother both was exactly this. They created a perfect space. I chose in. They created a perfect space for me to find this path of my own independent self-acceptance. They didn't know that they were choosing in like that, right? They probably didn't have that even to this day, that awareness. But this is the outcome, and I share it with you because now those journals, I think a couple years later, I went back and I looked at them and it was like reading somebody else. I had no idea, no connection to all of this feeling that had been there. I had literally moved beyond it. And then through the years came to this place, Michael, as I continued on my own path of learning how to accept my parents exactly as they are, for who they are. And then to see the things that they had given me in my life. One of the recent things that I discovered about my father was sovereignty. My father has immense sovereignty. He held it over me when I was growing up. But I learned in that space and the sovereignty that I have and that I teach and that I share and I help other people come to in themselves, where they reference themselves, right? That is a gift. And he was the means of my understanding that from an early age, or at least having the imprint of that. And I've been able to start to gather all these gifts and then to come back to my parents now as they are also old and to thank them. And I thank them, even though they don't understand what I do, and it still makes them so uncomfortable. And every time I say something, it's crickets. They can't respond at all. And it's all right. It's all right, because I recognize them, and my heart feels powerful. My heart feels true when I recognize the parts of them that they gave to me that are so important and precious, even though they still don't know how to accept me or see me or be proud of me.
Beautiful.
Right? Very powerful. You
Right.
are.
Wow.
I love that type of journaling. And, one of the things that I did, I never felt safe writing it down. And I don't know if anybody else is like that. I was so uncomfortable. So I used a big journal. It was, like a big 8x10 journal. And I wrote one way, and then I kept turning and writing over top and layered the stories on top of each other so that they couldn't be reread, but I was outpouring it, and it was I was safe this way.
That's incredible.
So however it needs to look for you to do that so that you feel safe and comfortable, I think it is an immense healing that you can show up and say, I am first for me, because now you can express it.
Right. And trust yourself when you have those little thoughts that tell you how to do it and what to do. Like if you trust them and follow them, like that's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something inside me directed, just like you, Jeannie, directed.
Yep.
We're going to do it no matter what. It is a sacred and powerful journey.
Your purpose is bigger than what you can imagine it to be.
Yes.
And it's just your faith in you and God. And with God, you can do anything, any mountains, any old stories, any pain, all of it will heal if you just show up.
Yes. And trust this inside, the spark of truth inside that
Mm-hmm.
is there. And we know it. That's where everything that I've shared with you today and everything you've said, Jeannie, right? Like I didn't come up with it. It told itself to me from inside out, because I started to learn back then how to trust this over anything else, and to just listen to it and follow it and do it. And that's what everybody, has been doing. There's more. There's more. There's no arrival here. This journey of self-acceptance takes us through every age that we are. It takes us through every incarnation of ourselves, our bodies, our relationships, our everything. It takes us through that. And so that's why I say it is the path of our purpose. The journey of our self-acceptance is the path of our purpose.
Beautiful. So you have a little gift for everybody, right?
I do. So let me just.
Who doesn't like party gifts?
Because
I have the 7-day self-acceptance meditation challenge that I have created. And it's the most wonderful, beautiful, amazing thing, but it's also deep. And you do the work, because anything I do is about what moves the needle, what actually moves you forward. And so what I would love is to have you join me in a 7-day guided meditation that is absolutely free for you. And it has the daily task that you get, and then the meditation that I lead. And as you listen to it, it will walk you through the principles and then lead you into the time of your own quiet, with your own meditation through that, with a Sanskrit mantra. And then when you come out of that, you can journal, write, whatever comes. But the daily tasks are geared for you to do this work within yourself into self-acceptance. And they go in different kind of fun ways. And some of them are a little challenging well, I should say everybody finds a challenge in one place or another as you go through. But I would love for you to join me in a special one that I'm going to be leading
cool.
here. Yes. So
Wow.
what I will do, Jeannie, we have the link for that.
I can find it. I didn't have it up.
I've got it. No, I've got it. I've got it.
Okay. Yeah. Can you put it in the chat? And then when I do the write-up for them, I'll add it in there because I do have it. I didn't copy and paste it ahead of time.
Yeah. No, I came ready with it.
Yay.
So here's the link right here. And so what you'll need to do is just go in and register, and it will take you through the steps right there. As you click that link, it will take you through the steps of registering so that you'll be put into this special group that I will be leading. And it's 7 days. And if it takes you more than 7 days, that's all right, because this is about self-acceptance. It's not about meeting somebody else's requirements. I have people who will do this and they will get lost in a certain day, or life will take over, but then they will come back and they will pick it up. And it's incredible because it is just like what we did today, this realignment back into the self. And it also shows us very clearly where we might be blocking ourselves and gives us a path forward in that blocking. So
take that link and register. It's the bomb. Like you're gonna absolutely love it. Carmell is amazing, and it's worth the 7-day investment for yourself. I feel like it's just, I love to be cracked open. I used to not like it. I used to, like, right, Carmell? We were saying this earlier, like, I didn't want to do that. I wasn't the girl that I was going to be like, you're going to tell me what to do. Who's with me there? Chris is there. Yeah. Susan's there. Yeah. Dawn's there. Dawn, you're like that too? So the softening is, I'm not supposed to do it on my own. Right? Other voices can lead me. And so leaning into love means I'm putting my heart first, my chin back. We've talked about this. And my heart first means I can connect so deeply with the voice that Carmell wants to lead me on and lead me to my inner self.
I would be honored to have each of you join me in this.
I'm doing it right now.
Thank you, Michael. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
What I teach and what I do is when somebody offers you their trust, you never close your hand over that. You always keep your hand open with the gift of that trust between you, because it is a gift and it's not mine to take. And so when somebody gives me the gift of that trust and they want to do some work together, it's extraordinary. And I would love to be able to do that with you.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, Carmell, and I thank you.
She stands with God and angels.
Thanks so much. You know what I know, because angels don't lie.
Don't lie.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
When she smiles at you, she'll say,